Well, hi. So, I'm assuming Jessica's already started Vlogmas today, but if not, welcome to Vlogmas, the final Vlogmas. So I'm about to have a little lunch. I went out and ran some errands this morning, and now I'm about to have some lunch, and then edit yesterday's Vlogmas, clear out my inbox, and then I have a few things I'm going to try and do around the house, and then we're going to film our book review here in just a little bit once Jessica gets home. So, first things first, I am starving. What do I want for lunch? I mean, leftovers, but what kind of leftovers? Oh, it's so exciting. The possibilities are endless. And by that, I mean there's like 2 possibilities, but...
Have I vlogged yet today? I don't think I have. Hi, guys. So I am not at home. I'm at the workspace because I have an editor I've talked about and I'm so thankful for, but she was taking this week off, which is absolutely understandable. And in fact, I mean, we worked a bit this week, but we're kind of taking it slow this week too. Anyway, so I'm editing my first Jammy Awards video, and I haven't edited in a while, like my videos, so it's been kind of fun. It's fun when you don't have to do it all the time. Anyway, so I've been working on that, and it is a long one. I'm like, oh my gosh, so I think I'm just going to try to get like half of it done today and then finish it when I come back in Monday. We'll see. I'm literally going to set a timer because it is 1 p.m. I want to leave here by 2 p.m. because Tyler and I want to film for you guys in this video our favorite books and stuff, and I want to have time for that. So I'm going to set a timer. When 2 p.m. rolls around, I'm getting out of here, and we'll just see what I can get done in the next hour. I have learned, and this may help you, if I tell myself, my hair is a mess, you guys. If I tell myself I have a certain amount of time, I will get so much more done in that time. Like if I have a timer set, than if I'm just like, I'll just see what I can do in the next little bit of time. Set a timer. I'm telling you, it will make a difference.
So... how's it going?
I feel like we're like making an announcement. You guys already know we're pregnant. Good.
Gotta have that, it's like Kelly and Ryan. We gotta have that.
Rat-a-tat. Right now it's all rat, no tat.
Hold on. Stop. You have lipstick on your teeth. Go fix it now.
Thank you.
So we're doing our favorite books. So we each read a lot of books this year, and it was hard to narrow down. We decided on 10 because we're still gonna probably talk for 45 minutes. So... Come here, Widow.
Come here. Hi, bud. You gonna be a part of this? You can lay down.
Perfect. So, we decided on 10 books. We kept going back and forth on how many books we were going to do. We thought 10 is a good number, and also, we're still probably going to talk for at least an hour. So, we're going to try not to talk for an hour.
For your sake, you got to edit this.
It was hard. It was hard to narrow down to the top 10.
It was hard and easy because... Okay, I read 31... Because Swedish Death Cleaning or whatever took me 2 seconds. Yeah. It was like you said, it was like a pamphlet. It was a very short book.
That's my joke.
I'm literally reading the Westing Games slower because I want it to count towards my next year goal.
I'm almost to 50. I'm about 50 pages away from 50 books for the year. And I'm at, so I'm reading The Call of the Wild, which by the way is actually... Oh, all right. I don't like it, but it's way better than what you said it was going to be.
I don't like it. Well, it has to be somewhat
Well, it's a lot of dog-on-dog violence, and I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah,
but you were like, it's really boring. It's not boring. It's just, it's not...
I honestly don't really remember. I remember as a kid being like, this is boring.
Yeah. It's actually...
I must not have liked the dog-on-dog violence.
Yeah, not a fan of that.
It's a dog... What is it that Michael Scott?
It's a doggy-dog world. Wait, was that Michael Scott or was that Sofia Vergara from Modern Family? It's Modern Family.
No, I'm pretty sure Michael Scott also...
Do they both make that joke? Okay.
It's a doggy-dog world.
All right, so I have 10, and you have 10, and I have one honorable mention at the end, which is a book, but it's not really. You'll see. So, are yours in order?
I'm seeing which one that is.
Are yours in order at all?
No order whatsoever.
Mine aren't either.
Because it's too hard. I can't do it. I can't rank them. They're all too different.
I have physical ones, and you do not. So I'll hold mine up.
I have screenshots from my Goodreads.
My first one, though, is actually one that I don't have the copy of because I've let somebody else borrow it. I've let like 3 people borrow it, actually. So it's loaned out at the moment. But
you want to start with that? Go ahead.
You want me to start with that one? Okay.
Yes.
So it's called...
There's been so much ado.
It's called A Walk Around the Block.
Oh, crap. That one's shared with me, too.
Okay, well, we're going to start with that one.
All right.
So this is the first one we both had shared. It's called A Walk Around the Block. And it was a quick read, but
Let me read the, subtitle.
Interesting. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. That makes more sense.
It says, stoplight secrets, mischievous squirrels, manhole mysteries, and other stuff you see every day and know nothing about.
Yeah.
That is exactly it.
Perfect.
It's literally a chapter on all... So it's a quick read in that each chapter is unrelated to the other, so it's kind of nice. You can just read it by chapter and But like, I think we've even had like our parents read the chapter on walking. I've already forgotten it all, but I learned so much from that book.
I feel like that's one I'll read every like 5 years just to like refresh my memory on it. Because like it's stuff, again, you pass all the time, like stoplights or manhole covers or whatever, and he talks all about this stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting. I never even paid attention to it before.
Like I liked when he learned about the sewage system in his town, which would be similar to a lot of towns' sewage systems. And like those are things I'm like, I've never understood any of that, and it was really cool to learn.
Yeah. It was just fascinating stuff that we just take for granted. And some of the stuff we've like kind of put into practice, like it talks about recycling and stuff like that, like what you should recycle, what you shouldn't recycle, what just stuff like it's super interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I love that. I would recommend that to anyone.
Your turn.
So, well, that was both of our number ones. So now it's your turn again.
Okay.
Well, like snip snap, snip snap.
Okay. Okay.
It's a doggy dog world, baby. I'm just living in it.
So, Anthony Bourdain's book. So they started working on this before he passed away, and then they still publish it afterwards. But they were it's Laurie Woolever, I think. Yeah, Laurie Woolever. Basically, kind of was a ghostwriter for him. But it's awesome because they took a lot of his writing that he had in his books or that he had in his TV show and stuff like that he had voiceovers for. And so it's a lot of like travel writing, but it's also almost like a travel guide for all these places, like places you should go and eat, places, and then even things like about transportation. So it's part travel writing, part like actual guidebook. So it's really interesting.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that.
And like all the things in blue are like his actual words, things he said or things he wrote. And you just nobody writes like he did. It's
what an interesting idea to compose. Like it's kind of a mishmash of different pieces. That's pretty cool.
It's very cool. I highly for the traveler in your life, I highly recommend.
Which one do I want to talk about next? All right, this is one that I rated. I'm literally looking at what I rated it. I rated it 3 of 5 stars, but I really was thinking 3.5. And I now think because I've thought about it so much in the past like 6 months since I read it, I would bump it up to 4 stars. So it's on my list. It's the book Modern Romance by Aziz Ansari. Are you going to be popping up?
Yeah, for yours, I'll pop them up, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. It's literally just a non-fictional book that Aziz Ansari, he just researched about dating today. And as someone that, we met over 10 years ago, oh my gosh.
Yeah, 11 years ago almost.
We both missed the, online dating scene. It was already a thing, but, the way that it is now was Tinder not the way it was then. Stuff, yeah. And so it really delves into that and what it, some of the pros of it, but some of the huge cons of it. And just one of the things I think about a lot that he talks about is choice paralysis.
I know that, yeah. And
it's not even just with dating, but just in life. Like when you can look up and try to find the absolute best stroller, what it's on my mind clearly. It literally, I cannot choose one.
I know.
I have looked and I go back and forth and it's just amazing. You get choice paralysis because there's so many options out there. And with dating apps, he was saying, you're constantly going through and you're thinking, well, I like this one, but what if there's someone better out there? And so you kind of get to that same feeling that
we have the world at our fingertips. Like, I mean, if I'm looking for a pencil box, I'm going to look through 40 different listings and I'm going to read 20 reviews per listing. I'm like, I used to just go to the store, buy a pencil box and move on. Now I'm like, I have to have the best pencil box. I have to have, but that's what I'm saying. That's the whole point. It's even little things like a stroller that matters. Like that's a safety thing. Like there's a lot that goes into that, but even little things, like I will search, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to pop on and buy something really fast. I'm going to buy popsicle sticks really fast, but I have to find the best popsicle sticks. I'll spend 45 minutes looking at popsicle sticks. I used to just go, whatever they had at Meijer was the one I would grab and go.
Like, Dad, calm down.
Anyway, I think about that all the time too.
Yeah. So because I think about it so much, it's weaseled its way. I need to change my rating, and I'll tell Ben. He'll be ecstatic.
Yeah, he tried. I mean, for a long time, was trying to convince us to read that.
And we read it, and then he was so disappointed when he saw I only rated it 3 stars.
Yeah. Okay. So again, these are in no particular order. Make sure we're still recording. The Thursday Murder Club. So
this one is kind of shared. This was not my top 10, but I did really enjoy it.
And see, I really liked this one. I loved the characters. I loved the setting of being like almost in the countryside of
now
England.
I'm like, should I move that into mine?
Because the characters, the 4 main characters I just liked so well. They were so like
were there 4?
Yeah.
Felt like 6 to me. I
guess. Okay,
once you count the detectives.
Yeah, that's
okay,
it. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, I love it. Just gave me all the good feels. It gave me all the good feels of being, and it was kind of a whodunit and that kind of stuff. But even the whodunit part really wasn't all that exciting. It was just I just love the characters and where it was set and all that.
I think
kind of
there's
stuff.
already a sequel.
There is,
and I will say the thing about this I think is unique is that the whole premise is that they're in like a retirement village, and so it's all people in their 70s, 80s. And just like this part of their life, how they're living out this part of their life. And it makes me excited to be old and I want to move to this retirement village, man. I want to be a part of the Thursday Murder Club.
And I'm going to solve murders.
And I'm going to solve some murders. What are the odds that so many murders happened around where they lived? All right. Next up for me, let's see. Pinocchio's like, okay, Mom, that's enough. Sorry, buddy. You're just so cute. I'll do this one quickly because honestly I read it at the beginning of the year and it's harder to remember, but the book Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, it's kind of like the idea, and there's another one I'll talk about similar, the idea of just like parallel universes where you know, if you could see what life would be like if you went down a different avenue, if you made a different decision at a certain juncture in your life, how that would play out 15 years later or 20 years later or 40 years later. But it's very much science-y, like it's very scientific, and it gets into like the actuality of like the multiverse. That's really more what the multiverse,
like sci-fi,
but it's not too science-y because I'm not usually into like sci-fi.
Science-y or sci-fi?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't know how real it is. Like, if that's, I know that's not possible, but I don't know how real the multiverse is. I don't know.
You don't know what's real.
That's what I'm saying. That's what scientists are figuring out, I think. Okay. Anyway, but it was very interesting. So, yeah, I like that one.
So on that same vein, this is probably top 3 books I've read. Maybe even top 2 books I've read this year.
Yeah, you liked that
I
a lot.
love this book, The Martian, and it's sci-fi, but it doesn't even feel like sci-fi because it's so technical that the way that he talks, first of all, the storyline is just so fascinating, but the guy's just a complete smart aleck and he's hilarious. And so the main character is like this genius scientist who's, I don't know, basically trapped on Mars. You learn that in like the first sentence, but it's so, I can't even explain it.
So we've seen the movie now.
It's so
Matt
detailed,
Damon, right?
Yeah.
He plays the main guy.
But I didn't think he was near smart alecky enough. I thought this guy was way funnier in the book than he was in the movie. But
that could be.
Like he's so like resourceful. He does all this stuff, but it just was like it's so sciencey. The way that it reads, I'm like I feel like the author like it could actually happen. 100% everything that he says is exactly factually correct, even though it's a novel. And it could. I mean, maybe it's not. But from a layman's perspective, it seemed very real. Yeah. But it's also just the guy's just a complete smart aleck and just hilarious. I loved this book. And I'm not a big sci-fi person, but this was...
No, you're not. The movie I would recommend, and I was like, you were like forcing me to watch. I'm like, fine. It was really good. So even if you're like, you're not a reader, that's a good movie worth watching because I was enthralled the entire time.
And you know what? I remember a few years ago, long story short, somebody told me to read this, and I was like, I don't know. It doesn't sound like something I'd be interested in. I was wrong. It's very good. So if you're thinking like, I don't know, it doesn't sound like something for me, just read. Mm-hmm. Just try it.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do this one just while we're talking about the multiverse. This one, I think I liked better than Dark Matter. This one's called The Midnight Library. It's very popular just generally, I feel like the past few years. I really liked it. Again, it's a similar idea, but it is not scientific. It's way more fiction. I've recommended it to some friends, and it was a mistake because they're like, I didn't really like it. I'm like, they probably would have liked Dark Matter better because they're nerds. I mean, I'm a nerd too. Nerdy in a different way, and I think they would have liked that one better. Anyway.
I read The Midnight Library too, and I was not
it
was okay.
Liked it, but it was a fictional story. Not that the other one is. The other they're both fictional, okay? But this one was more like fun to read. And I just really liked it. It was, again, if you could do your life over and make different decisions, how would that play out? And realizing that maybe your life, exactly the way it is exactly how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. I don't regret reading it. I don't think it was a bad book. It just wasn't one of my favorites.
Yeah, I liked it.
So. All right.
Good luck. Good luck with that decision, guys. Read or don't. What are you looking at?
Next one. This one's been out for a while. Gentleman in Moscow. Jessica was like, you really need to read this. I'm like, okay. And it was awesome. It was so good.
I love this book. And nothing happens.
So here's what's really interesting, though, because I did not like Hamnet because nothing happened. But in this book, nothing happened, and I loved it. So I don't know what that says about me, but just the writing style in this one, I
think that's
so
it.
much
I
more.
love this author.
And he goes into a lot of like life truths, whereas like in Hamnet, it's just more about, it's kind of the story about this family. That anyway, but this one is like he drops some life truths in this guy. It's really good.
This one's on my list. Oh no, it wasn't technically because I didn't read it this year.
Right.
But
yeah.
it is.
I think you read it. We talked about it in another one though last year. But it's set in Moscow, and I just obviously, and it's just I don't think I've ever read another book set in Russia, and it was
I learned a lot.
Yeah, it was fascinating learning about just cultural things there and that kind of stuff. But I think they're also making a movie out of it.
They are, and Kenneth Branagh is the dude. Although I've been hearing about this forever, I'm wondering if the movie's already out and we didn't hear about it, or like how long. I guess with COVID, I was like everything, but still, I feel like it was years ago we heard about this.
He also has a new one out called The Lincoln Highway that I want to read.
Yes. Did I end up buying that one at that bookstore?
No, I don't. You read? No, I don't.
I'm going to talk about another one of his.
You did. Okay, you're talking. Okay,
yeah.
So we'll
But just a quick synopsis. That sounded like what's her name from Schitt's Creek.
Yeah. Moira.
Synopsis. Alexis. That was the best I've ever done. I can't do any more. Don't even ask. Anyway, he basically is whoever. It was like the Bolshevik Revolution, right? He ends up being on the wrong side of the power, basically. And so, as his punishment, he is forced to live out his days, the rest of his days, in this Grand Hotel in Moscow. And that is what you're reading about. His life in this Grand Hotel, not able to leave this Grand Hotel for the rest of his life. It is so freaking interesting.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh!
Yeah, it was good.
I want to read it again. Okay, no.
Again, just his writing style, so good.
Well, that is it. And so, my book that I read of his this year, which I think was from before that, is called Rules of Civility, and it's set in the 20s. Listen, I have an affinity for anything that was set in the 20s. I just love it. I can't explain it. Like, all of the Fitzgerald, all of that, I just love.
The Flapper Girls.
The Flapper Girls. My only problem with this is, and why the other one is better, is because, again, nothing really big happens in this book. Same with that. Like, things happen, and it's still interesting, but there's no big, like, climax, I feel like.
Storyline.
Same with this. There's no big climax, but I love the way this man writes, and I love the characters he creates. You just, like, constantly, it's just juicy. It's just juicy.
Well, what's interesting, too, that was his first book, or one of his, I don't know if it was his first, but it was the biggest.
I keep looking it up, and I forget.
So, he wrote that, then he wrote Gentleman in Moscow, so I think he maybe learned a lot, and that's why this one was better, or he liked that one better, but that's why I really want to read
Lincoln
the Lincoln Highway,
be fantastic.
because I'm sure he's gotten even better.
That is definitely going to be on both of our lists.
Or it's going to be bad, because you can't top perfection. All right, here's another one that we both read together.
This is on both of our lists.
On both of our top 10 lists. Hidden Valley Road. Wow, what a fascinating book. This is nonfiction, and I was not prepared for how interesting this book was going to be. I flew through this.
I read it first.
I read it first. Wait.
Yeah, no, I read it first. It doesn't matter. I think it was me, though.
I think it was you. I think you did read this one first. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was so fascinating.
It follows this family where it's a family that has a lot of
12 kids.
12 children. And like I said, this is all real. And one by one, not every single one of them, but one by one, 6 of them end up with schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And it is wild to read about their life story. And it's cool because every other chapter, it goes back and forth between research today on schizophrenia and stuff, and then back into the family storyline.
In the 50s and 60s.
And what it was like then.
It was so fascinating.
And we've had a lot of people read this, and every single person is like, that is one of the best books I've ever read.
Okay, look, New York Times, 10 best books of 2020. Oprah's Book Club 2020. So it literally, it's
Jesse Braun, book stamp of approval 2020.
The Braun Bros
Braun
Book Club.
Family.
Wait, no, I was trying to think of another B. The Braun Bozos Book Club.
BBB approved stamp.
I'm going to do it like Calamezzo.
It's going to be big and really big.
Joan Calamezzo is going to be cover the whole. Braun Bozos approved.
Here's one. It's called Rest. Why You Get More Done When You Work Less. I don't think this was the best self-help type book about that I've ever read. But it really did, even though I don't think the book itself was amazing, what I took away from it was worth reading. And that's why I was like, do I want to bring this up? But I do. Because it really has put me at ease and more... I feel less guilty when I take time to unwind or when I take time to go on a walk. Like, it's shown me that it is worthwhile for a multitude of reasons to take that time off. And that was something I needed to read this year. And so I don't know, it's like helped remove some of that guilt, that mom guilt or that wife guilt of like, just, I should be spending this time with my kid, or I should be, well, no, sometimes I need 30 minutes to take a nap, or sometimes I need 30 minutes just to.
And with like jobs and stuff, like it's so, yeah, I mean, just the mentality is always, you know, work. And it's especially, I mean, in America, I don't know if it's in a lot of places, but it's just, you know.
It certainly permeates our culture.
You feel so guilty taking, you know, a little break.
Off.
You know?
It's so wild. Even when, you know, neither one of us, we're lucky enough right now in our lives where we don't have bosses, but it doesn't remove that feeling of I'm still on a hamster wheel and I have to keep going or else I'll fall behind. Fall behind what? I don't know, but I'll fall behind. Fall behind the couch.
Okay, so next one, American Dirt. This was...
No, when a UPS guy, how is there?
Thank you for protecting the house.
I love that he's instantly out of breath.
I'm reading Call of the Wild right now. I know, he's actually a wild dog.
Are you a wild boy?
He's getting back to his roots.
And he's already forgotten why he barked.
Okay, so anyway, American Dirt. It's a novel about a mother and son coming up from Mexico and basically trying to make it to America. And I don't want to give any more away, but this from page 1, you cannot put down. It is so... The writing style is incredible. Like, the way that she writes is just beautiful. Yeah. The story is amazing. It's amazing.
I think for me, it really opened my eyes, even though it is fictional. Obviously, parts of this are from, you know, they're real things that go on. And it was just wild to see that from a different perspective, you know, as someone that's lived in America my whole life. I just feel like the writing style, being able to see something from a different perspective is really important. And that, I think, is the biggest thing. I will say, I read the first, 50 pages alone, and I literally, it was scary. I mean, it's genuinely, the beginning is like genuinely scary. And so I was done. I was like, I can't read this. I literally will have nightmares every single night if I read this book. So Tyler, we listened to the audiobook of it, and oh my gosh, the audiobook is so good.
Yeah, the woman who read it is incredible.
Yeah, but I couldn't read it alone, and I couldn't read it at night. Yeah. So,
and it completely opens your perspective.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to be read by so many people.
Yeah.
By the way, in case you're curious why I keep getting up, it's because we did this a year or two ago, and we did it twice all the way through, and the camera was not filming. So I am making sure that we are actually filming, and I'm just checking every few minutes.
And if you recall, we were giggling so hard because by the third time we were doing this entire video, we both were repeating ourselves. And it was jokes. As though we'd written, we would repeat the same joke. Until like us hearing each other, it was getting so stale.
It was just ridiculous. Okay.
I really liked your third line reading on some of them, though. You know,
the matinee.
The matinee. Okay, another book I wanted to mention is this will be quick because it's only for like people that are pregnant. The book called Bumpin'. It's a really good pregnancy book, and it just really was. And not a lot of people talk about it, and I really liked it. I feel like it was very contemporary and like realistic. I can't explain it. But it was thorough, but not so thorough that you're like, I'm never going to remember any of this. It was thorough enough. Yeah. So I wanted to mention that because I really liked it. So if you're pregnant,
you're not reading a medical journal.
It was accessible.
Yeah.
To a normal like me.
So this one I talked about this earlier in Vlogmas, but this was so fascinating to me. And I still have not looked up if he wrote this before he started doing the Daily Show, but I think he did. But again, has nothing really to do with politics. So if it's not a political book. It's really just about growing up in South Africa, and it talks about apartheid and how even though it was before his time, like how he grew up around it and how it affected his life in so many immense ways. But it was just fascinating learning about his upbringing, about his journey, and about what life is like in South Africa, and it also it's very funny, but also just his family story is interesting on top of the fact that, learning about South Africa itself is also interesting.
This is on my list. You listen to the audiobook?
I always do both. So for those of you that don't know, I always do, usually one book at a time, and I do the audiobook and the actual book. So I'll read it in bed at night, but then I'll also do it do the audiobook. So that's part of the reason I'm able to read 50 books a year. Some people do that and they read 100 books out of the year. I don't know how they do that, but that's how I read so many, is that they and it's awesome because usually I try and end on a chapter, whether I'm reading or whether I'm listening, and so that way it's easy to pick up where you left off.
Yeah, I like audiobooks, okay, but it's not my steez totally. It
depends entirely on the book and on who's reading it. That obviously makes a big difference.
Do we each have one left?
I have 3 left.
I only have 1 left.
How did we do that? Because we had so many similar ones, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
We had 10 apiece.
Well, then you go ahead.
Okay.
I'm saving my favorite one of the year for last.
Okay. I'll do a couple quick ones here.
Although Hidden Valley Road is up there with it, and American Dirt, so
All right, I'll do a couple quick ones. So I had never read any Stephen King books, so I read Stephen King's The Stand. My friend Brian had been telling me about this for years. He's like, you have to read The Stand, you have to read The Stand. But I'm like, well, that's pretty intimidating. But I finally read it, and I'm like, this is a great introduction into Stephen King's world. I've now read It, and I'm going to read 11/22/63 next.
It's on my list too.
But it's a bear of a book. So is It, and so is 11/22/63, and so are all of his books. But it was so good. I loved.
What's it about?
The apocalypse. But it's kind of interesting drawing some parallels to where we are now. But it came out in the 80s originally, and they had cut out like 500 pages from it. And so this is the original version that Stephen King
I was like, that's the one cut out?
No, this is the one that Stephen King wanted to publish, that they were like, nobody's ever going to read that much. And so then this is the full one that was the one that has all the pages in it. And it was
unabridged.
Awesome. Yes. Elton John's book. Wow. This was... So, okay, I'm a huge Elton John fan, but even if you're not, it's so fascinating. The stuff this guy's been through is just absolutely crazy. He has had a heck of a life, but I just love this. I loved everything about it. Him growing up in England, and then, that part of his life, and then, as he was just getting more and more fame, and then basically when he sobered up and all the people that he's met, it was incredible.
You made me want to read this by saying one thing. You said... he talks a lot about other celebrities that he's met and tells stories about that.
Yeah.
And instantly I was like, I'm already into it. I haven't read it yet. Actually, I want to add that to my list. Just because I love reading about like those kinds of things and people who, like, oh, I didn't know he knew that person. And
you're going to like my next book then a lot too.
You're going to love the way you look, I guarantee it.
He also talks a lot about the songs that he's written over the years and getting the backstory on... Like, Someone Saved My Life Tonight. I'm like, now when I hear that song, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much that goes into this song. Like, you don't even realize, you sing along to a lot of songs, but like, oh my gosh, there's so much story behind a lot of the songs. There's so much, just his life journey is just fascinating. And where he is now, and the fact that he probably should have died years ago for a lot of reasons. The fact that he's still alive and he's so wise now because of everything he's been through. So, I just loved every minute of this book, and I couldn't recommend it more. It's so good.
He wrote a book in 2012.
I read that too.
Oh. All right, so we both have one left, and then you have your random extra. Mm-hmm. Oh, dang, that's another one. So many books to read next year. I was mentioning I really don't know what to do for my goal for reading, because I'm like, all right, if my goal was 30 books, and I met that goal, but next year I know a few months in we're going to have a little baby, and like the only time I read is before bed, and I think I will be so tired that I will not even be able to read a page. So I don't know. I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do. What am I doing? Okay, so my last book and one of my like top few is The Invisible Life of Addie Larue.
I just got that so I can read it because you have just recommended it so much.
It's just interesting. I mean, it's a novel, but it's about, this woman who... basically when she's much younger was going to be forced to marry someone. I'm not ruining anything, I promise. And she makes a deal with the devil, basically, to live forever, but there's one huge catch. And the catch is that for the rest of her life, which is forever, she will be forgotten by everyone she meets. And not forgotten I just talked about this, I think. Not forgotten in like, oh, she dates someone for 5 years or whatever, and then they forget about her when they, no, like the second she's out of sight, they've already forgotten her. It's and it affects everything.
Such an interesting concept.
It is so interesting. And it's my best friend Emily just read it too, and she really liked it. And I was like, yes, I've been dying to talk to someone about it.
Yeah,
so
I just got that actually. It's because I got a few books for Christmas, and then my parents also got me an Amazon gift card, and that's the book that I got. So I'm going to read that one. So this one...
Oh, that's another one I wanted to add.
Funny enough, this actually... might be my favorite book I've read all year. It's top 3, honestly.
Wow. Okay, I'll add that to my like up next, like for real readers.
I did not expect to like this so much. It is a book by Martin Short called I Must Say. It's hilarious because of course it's Martin Short and he's just hysterical, but it's so heartfelt too. And there's a lot of moments that are just, you almost want to weep, and there's moments that you just you die laughing. And he talks about, his just life story, and he also knows everyone under the sun. He has a lot of very famous friends. He talks about them too. And so like just that angle of it. And it just, I did not, and the people he grew up with, it's insane. He grew up with like Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara and Gilda Radner, and then there was another one. Victor Garber. Oh my gosh, I can never remember his name.
I know him from Titanic. Thank you.
Sorry, but like they all grew up together. It's crazy. Anyway,
is really crazy.
It's an incredibly good book.
I will say this: the reason I want to read this like soon, and maybe that'll be my next book just for like fun at the start of the year, is I'm going to save that last page of Weston Game for 2022. I'm kidding. Anyway, you were listening to it like the audiobook out loud, and so I heard just a bit of it. And he was telling a story about their multiple houses and all this stuff. And
no. Do you know what that was?
No.
I was reading it to Genevieve.
That's what it was?
But literally, she saw the book and she's like, I want to read that. I'm like, okay. So I started reading it to her and I read 4 pages, 5 pages. And she was just listening to it. I'm like,
it was interesting. She really was. That's what it was. Yeah. You did a great job. I thought it was an audiobook. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
In my mind, I did all the mental gymnastics to get there.
He does also read the audiobook, so if you're an audiobook person. But I just loved it. I did not expect to like it as much as I did. So that maybe just caught me off guard. Because I read a lot of like celebrity books because I think they're fun. Usually I'll read something real big and heavy and then I'll read like a celebrity book because they're just a bunch of fluff. You know what I mean?
But it's like fun
But
fluff.
This is actually a very good book. Genuinely.
That is awesome.
It talks about his days at like Saturday Night Live and there's just so much to it. It's really good.
That's awesome. All right, do your honorable mention.
All right, my honorable mention: flour, water, salt, yeast for the bread baker in your life.
I can't not think of Waitress. Sugar, butter.
Yeah. So loved this book. It's only for if you're super into artisan bread making. But it really does a good job. So it reads sort of like a textbook for the first half of it, like all about different methods and different things, and then the back half is sort of recipes, even though it's basically the same recipe and over again. But for the bread baker in your life who wants to make some artisan bread, highly recommend.
That's true. I giggle at it because I'm like, I look at that and I'm like, that looks like the most boring.
I read it like a novel. I read it
cover to cover. Ooh, you know what you should make again soon?
Pizza
that
dough?
Olive bread. Not this, but the olive bread you made. Yeah. Anyway, I make fun of you only because I'm lucky enough to get to eat your bread and I don't have to do the work.
Keep making fun of me. See how much bread you get.
I won't make fun of you.
All right. That's good.
We did it, you guys. There's a lot more books I almost mentioned, but I mean, I think that's plenty.
Yeah.
I'm excited. As I was scrolling through the books I've read, I'm like, man, I've read a lot of duds this year.
A lot of stinkers. A lot of stinkers in there.
And I'm excited for next year to like just read some fresh books and.
But you know what? I feel like the more books you read, the more you know what a good book is. And
maybe
so there's other books that you had you read it a few years ago,
I would have maybe liked because there were a lot I liked, but when I compare it, I'm like...
Yeah, like Midnight Library is the perfect example. I bet I would have liked Midnight Library had I not read so many amazing books recently that it was a good book, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I have to tell everyone I know about this book.
Yeah, I can understand that.
You know? But there was also some just bad ones too.
There was one I read called Moonglow, and someone I really trust that's given me amazing recommendations recommended it. And I hated that book with that's not true. There were parts of it that were slightly interesting. But I literally got to the end and was like, what did I just read? Nothing. What the heck was this book?
There was one I read too.
What a waste of time.
And I hated it. I can't even think of what it was now. I tried to remove it from my memory. Anyway. All right. Well.
We did it.
We did our books. We talked about it all month and we finally did it.
We finally did it. Did you share about your goals?
No, I have not. I need to share about my goals. All right, so I need to share about my goals.
We're going to make a really good dinner tonight.
Yes, I was going to talk about a...
You're lucky. We almost ended Vlogmas right here now. We decided we'll keep going through the night.
I need to write this down. So goals, dinner, windshield wiper.
Battlestar Galactica.
Windshield wiper.
Oh, that's juicy if you get that done. I will be the happiest camper.
Oh my gosh, okay. And I also have to go, I got to go clear up my inbox. Okay, let's go.
Also, you got to edit Vlogmas. How are you going to do this?
It'll be fine. It won't be fine. We'll do it. Let's just go. Ready? Break.
So I just took Pinocchio for a quick 15-minute walk, but now I'm going to go get Miss Gigi. I'm excited to see her. And I just got a book in the mail, speaking of books. This is going to be the next book I read. Well, I usually, this kind of a book I would read while I'm reading something else on my Kindle. So just read, a chapter or two a night. But I finished that Bumpin' book, and a lot of you guys recommended this one, which is Expecting Better. And I also bought another book from her about, I can't think of what it's called. We can link it below, but it's about after you've had the baby, raising the baby and then into toddlerhood. And I'm excited to read that one too. So yeah, I am jazzed. I was just kind of flipping through it, and there's a lot of charts and I love charts. I love them.
All right, so I am very briefly going to talk about my goals here because I told you guys that I would. So this is the sheet that I came up with last year, and I kind of stopped using it after January, February. I thought I'd use it a lot better, but the goals remained the same. I still had all the goals. I just didn't actually use this sheet, but I'll show you guys here. So the book's goal, I had 40. I got to 50, or I'm about to get to 50 once I finish the book that I'm reading right now, which I should be able to do tonight. Running 400 miles was my goal. And I just checked my Nike running app, and I actually ran 475 miles. So I beat that goal. Workout, 100 workouts was my plan. So not running, anything from, going to the gym, biking, swimming, whatever. My goal was 100 workouts. I got to 65 other workouts besides running. And that checks out about right. So I'm going to try and actually, so all of these goals, I'm actually going to keep the same goals for next year, just looking through them. I'm going to try and pick up my pace a little bit on actual workouts this year. I did not include walks, and Jessica and I go on walks, like I said, a couple times a week. So I didn't include those. So this just included swimming, biking, all that kind of stuff. So piano, I wanted to memorize 12 new songs, and I wanted to play for 100 hours. That didn't happen at all. I probably played, a combined total of maybe 10 hours this year. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the time to actually sit down and play the piano very much. My guitar goal, same thing. I didn't really get to play any at all this year. So I'm going to make it a priority to actually do some of these next year. Flossing, I definitely exceeded my goal. I flossed way more this year than I ever have in the past. So that makes me very happy. My French, I didn't practice at all, so that's something I need to pick up on again this year. And geography, I didn't really work on my geography this year. So, because usually I would work on French and I'd do geography when I was in bed, right before I went to sleep. But I've been reading so much before I went to sleep, so these again kind of fell by the wayside. So those are my goals this year. Some of them I met and exceeded, and some of them I did not live up to my goals. So like I said, this is pretty much exactly my goals that I'm going to have for 2022 as well. So I will try and keep up with these. I think I'm going to switch my book goal to 50, obviously because I hit 50 this year, so I'm going to at least keep 50. Running, I'm going to do about the same, and then everything else about the same. So that's my goal update at the end of the year. I'm happy with some things and not happy with others. So that's life for you, though. So the other project Jessica and I were talking about there at the end of our book thing was that I wanted to treat our windshield wiper here with this glass water repellent. This car in particular is really, really hard to see out of the windshield when it rains. And so I got this stuff. I used it a couple years ago on my old Mazda, and it worked really well. So hopefully by doing it on this one, it will make it a lot easier to see when it rains and stuff like that, and at night, because it's so hard to read. You can see there kind of what the difference is. It makes the water bead up. So you can see there on the right, there's untreated versus treated. So like I said, I know it works. Hopefully it works like it did last time on my last car. But I'm going to go ahead and put this on the windshield wiper too. So if you have a windshield that doesn't, I'm sorry, not on the wiper, but on the windshield. So if you have a windshield that's really hard to see out when it rains, maybe look at getting something like this. Okay, so you can see there is there's like a haze on it. It said you'll be able to see the haze, and then you'll wipe it off, and then, you'll see the haze, then you'll apply a second coat, and then you can make sure it's over everything. So now I think it's pretty evenly on there. And they said then once it hazes again, then wipe it off. So I'm about to wipe it off now, and hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit better. Now my next project is all the swirls on our car. Oh, it's so bad. We go to the car wash because it's so easy to go to the car wash, but then we end up with swirls and stuff on our car. So I did buy this ultimate scratch and swirl remover for black cars, because obviously black cars are notorious for this. I think it can happen on any car, but they show up a lot more on black cars because people are like, you're not supposed to take your black cars through the car wash, but I'm like, I'm not gonna hand wash my car. I'm just not. And plus, it's way more eco-friendly to actually go through a car wash because they recycle the water and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, not the point of the story. But we end up with these swirls. So it's been driving me crazy, and it's been getting worse and worse over the few years. So I'm gonna try this. Actually, I might try it right now, just on a little spot, just to see if it works. So then we know going forward if it works or not. Okay, so I did this side with that stuff, and I did not do that side. I do think it looks better over here now. You can see it shine it up a little bit. Although, I mean, it's definitely worse over there, but it didn't do as good of a job as I wanted it to. See if I can get the light. Like, so yeah, you can see, this is not doing it justice here. You can still see the swirls here. It's still, so it didn't do a great job. It looks better than what it did compared to that side, but it doesn't look fantastic. So if any of you guys have a recommendation, please let me know for like black car swirl remover. See, it looks actually pretty good up here. So like up there, it looks better. I need to wipe it off again. But overall, better, but not great. So anybody has any better recommendations, I'm all ears. Oh man, when you look at it from this angle, it looks great. But when you look at it in the light, it doesn't look much better. Anyway, so I think, like I said, it definitely looks better. I did the whole thing now. So maybe, I don't know if I do it more than once. I don't know. Looks better, but not great. So again, any suggestions, I'm all ears. The good news is you don't have any on the side. So I don't see any on the sides, any swirls or anything. It's really just on the hood up here that you can see it. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. Now I'm going to go make dinner. So tonight for dinner, we are doing Bobo Tea, which is one of our all-time favorite recipes. And I have it on my website, so I'll link it below. And I also have a video of this recipe from several years ago. A video that is not a great video. It's one I'd like to refilm and maybe do it again another time and do it better. But I do have the recipe on there and the video. I'll link both below. So I'm not going to film it tonight, but it is so good. Absolutely one of our top favorite meals of all time.
If you could only smell how good this smells, it is unbelievable because it's savory and it's sweet. It's so out of this world good to me. I can't even describe it. Pinocchio says it really does smell good. Ooh, daddy.
I'm so excited.
Yum.
I'll never forget when I did that video, the one that I'm going to redo at some point and do it better. People got so mad because I didn't actually film myself eating it, which is totally understandable, but the reason why I didn't was because I filmed that when Jessica was pregnant and I was making meals ahead of time so I could just throw them in the oven after we got home from the hospital. And so people were like, I can't believe you didn't eat it on camera. I'm like, no, you're right. I guess I should have shown you, but I was doing something. And
some freezer meals. I was just doing something, guys.
Anyway, so it does freeze really well, by the way.
It does, yeah. So does meatloaf.
Yeah. And we're watching the season finale of Succession.
So excited. I've heard a lot of people are like, and it actually hasn't been ruined for us. What a nice.
I know, right? So weird.
What a nice concept. Anyway, so here we go. Strap in.
Well, it's over.
It's not you. It's me.
What?
No,
He said, I want to talk to them. Hold on. He says, I have something to say.
What, Pinocchio? Can you sit? Good boy. Can you shake? Can you shake? Good boy. Can you lay down? Good boy.
He said, okay. So
okay,
the thing I was going to say was that I really would like a tweet.
Well, you earned it, buddy.
Can I have one, please? Thank you.
Anyway, I think we finally
ran out of things to say.
We finally run out of things to say.
Oh, that was around December 3rd. I think we ran out of things to say.
I don't think we had anything to say when we started this whole thing.
I may have a little special project I'm working on after this, at the end of this. I don't know if it's going to work out or not. We're going to see. I'll be able to tell on the cutting room floor. So if there is, you'll see it after this. And if not, well, then I'll probably just cut this part out. So
okay, good, because I was like, okay, super disappointed. Also, what are you guys doing for New Year's Eve? Because you're seeing this on New Year's Eve day. Or, well, maybe later. But we are staying in and chilling, maxing and relaxing all.
Or if you're in Australia, it's like July, I think so.
I think you don't understand.
I definitely don't understand how the calendar works.
Season-wise, that's correct. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're actually celebrating the 4th of July right now in Australia.
Wait.
It doesn't work on so many levels.
17 reasons.
All right.
I know, I feel like we should have something more profound. This is definitely the longest Vlogmas video we've probably ever done.
Yeah, because the books and everything else, yeah.
Anyway, so you've seen us through a lot this month.
Yeah.
Moving Gigi's room. What else?
Shampooing carpets.
Shampooing carpets, wrapping gifts. Just trying to figure out life,
Just trying to get through the day, man.
Really?
So yeah, for real though, if you guys want to see the lights, I will post a picture of them when it's all done on the back porch, hopefully in a couple weeks. ideally sooner than that, but we'll see with weather and all that kind of stuff where I can actually find a
if it
nice day to get out there.
cooperates.
But I'll post about it on Instagram if you guys want to see what it looks like.
At Tyler Travels TV.
Yeah. I was gonna say at JamBeauty89, and then I couldn't.
That's also not it
That's
anymore.
not it anymore. So
Although I've still been trying to change Facebook, it's still JamBeauty89, and they won't listen to me. I'm like, that's not who I am anymore.
Facebook is an American online.
Alexa, stop.
She's been crazy today. Siri too. She was talking to me at my watch. I don't even know what I'm saying.
All right, we should cut it off before we go crazy.
Thank you guys for
For watching.
chilling with us all December long. You have got to be tired of us.
I know people kept saying you aren't, but I don't believe you.
I don't believe you. I think the people that are actually tired of us are not watching this because
That's
they
true.
stopped at day 3.
That actually makes sense. So yeah, anybody that's still watching might not actually be.
You guys are true friends, so thank you.
Yeah. All right. So for real though, I think we're gonna be done.
Signing off.
See you guys next year,
Hey, I'll see you in a couple days. I'll have videos on my channel, so.
and I'll get some up when I can.
Yeah,
get some.
I was going to say some Disney vlogs are coming. So we'll still be around.
Be
like we
excited.
said.
All right. Well,
Thank
bye.
you guys. Love you. Bye.